I remember the water, how it turned crimson in the morning sun. A shimmering sea of rubies, stretching from horizon to horizon. You could almost believe it went on forever. But beyond that red expanse lay a land in turmoil. On the shores of Othard, our Doman brothers struggled in vain.
Welcome back to Tiny Blue Games. My name is, of course, Csaw or Chris, and today we're talking about Final Fantasy XIV in 2021. Today we are talking about the Ruby Sea, as you can see all around me. I mean, the snowman is the absolute obvious choice for this weather condition. I'm sure we would not melt in a second. But yeah, we're in the Ruby Sea. This is kind of going to be a story video, but also kind of a zone exploration video. It's going to be a little bit different than the last few story videos we've done. I haven't talked about this too much yet, but I haven't been super happy with how to talk about the story, which is interesting because that's kind of how this whole channel series started. And I feel like the last few ones have been overly produced, where it's really just a summary. I talk about the main story points. I give some of my own thoughts on it. And then I have just images of the actual cutscenes and stuff like that, which is great, except most people have already played through the story or seen the story that are watching it, and there's also better YouTubers out there for summarizing the story. So I really didn't feel like I was adding too much by doing that, and it was definitely something that was more out of my comfort level because I'm not an expert on the story. I get people's names wrong, 'cause I mispronounce things, I get story elements wrong. It's something that was more work than not, and because of that I feel like it came off a little bit disingenuous or just not as casual as I like to keep my videos. So we're going to try and do something a little bit different here. It's going to be a bit more freeform. It's going to be kind of a zone exploration video, except it's going to be me going through the zone afterwards and talking about different story elements I remember in each of the different zones. And we're going to do it as a live video, so it's, you know, kind of one take, and I'm just going to cut all of the dead space of me walking if there is anything, or, you know, if there's any stumbles and I forget things. But we're going to see how it goes. I'd love your feedback on it, and always, if you have any ideas of different video content you'd like to see, I'm always willing to kind of adapt and bring new things into the channel as we continue through the game, because I really am enjoying our journey. I just think there's always new ways we can look at things. But yeah, so all that said, let's get into the fun. So I'm pretty sure this is where we came into the zone. I wasn't 100%, but there is the ferry docks there. And what I think we actually come from this like little island over here, and we're instructed or have the choice to swim over. And that's really them signifying, hey, you can swim. You can swim, which at first was very lackluster, because you kind of just swim across this little area and it's like, okay. But as we'll see soon in this other area, and probably over there as well, there's a lot more to swimming that meets the eye, and it kind of blew me away actually later on in this map, just how big of a feature add this was, and it's probably one of my favorite things I've experienced so far in Stormblood. But yeah, so we come over here and we meet the Confederacy, or as I'll probably call them, pirates a lot. They are the ones who kind of control who go through the Ruby Sea. You kind of need to either pay them or be allies with them. And we get off on a negotiation kind of foot. You know, it's not either like hatred, it's very much a business kind of situation, and it's, you know, are we worth their time kind of thing. So it's not a great meeting, but it's not the worst thing we've had. We had Sorbonne coming through with us as well, who kind of does a lot of the explaining, my goodness. A lot of the explaining and a lot of the leading as we go through. So that was great. After this, we kind of go and explore around here. I forget the exact same quests we do. I think we have to kill like some sharks or something, but we are met with this kind of volcanic area, which we don't spend much time around except for the very start, but it is really cool. Like, you can see this like just lava flow, and it's a very like, it's quite the tower. And as you can see, I haven't explored very much, but it does look like there's a dungeon actually over here that now that I see it, I'm very interested in. I should look to unlock it. I've been super about checking out every single unlock quest that I come across to see, hey, is there a dungeon I can do? So if there is one, you should let me know in the comments below. But I've really enjoyed the area, but you don't do much in the lava area. Like I say, I think we killed like a couple lava creatures and a couple sharks or something like that. I'm not even sure who it was for really, so not terribly important. But the next thing that does come up is we kind of split away from the pack with Gagetsu's there, Alize's there, and Lise is there. Just trying to think of, I think those are the 4 people that are with us. And I'll try and fit some footage on screen of like some of the key moments I'm thinking of, but we're watching this town that's being not assaulted, but like has the sort of Imperial lady, and I'm not entirely sure how she's come to power. There's some information, and I definitely have to do a little bit of digging myself, but she is the main villain that's being presented here, and definitely evil. We watch her kind of come in, and she's got her sidekick here that we've actually met quite a few times now. Kind of a stumbling idiot of sorts with a big hammer, who's more just the muscle behind the operation. But it was interesting to see him brought into the situation, because we really didn't associate him with this side of the world, and it was just kind of cool to have him there. And he's kind of a comedic relief side of things, because he's definitely not the sharpest tool, certainly at the disposal there, but it's a interesting pairing for sure. So we see this scene unfold, and we're just kind of watching behind these rocks, but we see how cruel this lady is, and she's always smoking. It's I mean, we could kind of wait for her probably to die of natural causes, honestly, but she forces one of the villagers to really show their loyalty to the Empire, and in doing so ends up shooting one of his friends because he's ordered to, and then he's ordered to shoot his parents because they're too old to work and stuff like that. And that's where he draws the line. He tries to shoot back, but there's no bullets in the gun, and ends up getting shot himself. So we really see this intense moment of cruelty. And we're obviously all behind these boulders, sort of like struggling not to act and like prevent more damage from coming. And eventually Gagetsu gets up, and he offers himself kind of as a token of surrender to this lady. And it's through this that he's able to defuse the situation, because he is kind of enemies with the lady. I think it's Yatsuyu is her name, actually. It's coming to me now. I believe it's Yatsuyu, so I'm going to say that, and then if it's wrong, you're going to tell me, but I'm pretty sure that's her name. So they're kind of enemies. He was, his master was enemies with Yatsuyu, and they have a very big rivalry of sorts, so going over and presenting himself to get captured was quite the win, and it did definitely stop the punishment of the little town that was happening there, and we see him taken away. Right before he goes, though, he tells us to find aid by going to the tower, the tower in the map. And right away when you come into this map, it's pretty obvious what tower. I'm actually trying to see if I can see it from where I am. I'm pretty far to the side. Bum, bum, bum. I believe it should be, yeah, so you can, yeah, there we go. There's the tower. Look how high up it goes. Like, it is a very obvious tower statement that we're talking about here. And here, actually, I'll go over it, but if I just teleport over, dun, 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 it's to Anakoro, which is the kind of the settlement of the Confederacy. That's where we see them hang out. They have their pub there, and we end up finding the kind of first mate. Here we go. So yeah, you can see how big this tower is up close. It's got like all these, it kind of looks like a Jenga tower. That's how I describe it. It's got like these little pieces that you could pull out. but it's their settlements, and there's quite a few people here. They've got like a pub and stuff like that, and we end up finding the first mate person that we talked to at the very start of entering the area, and then their leader, which I think it's like Rasho or something like that, but we talked to both of them, and they're kind of meh towards us, as most people are when we first meet them. So we end up doing quite a few little different missions and quests around here, very typical MMO stuff. We go and bring people medicine, we go and defeat creatures, we do this, we do that, and eventually we earn enough kind of reputation or enough presence in the area to talk to them, and it becomes very clear that they are under the Imperial's thumb. Like they're living, but it's not a comfortable life. So there's mutual ground there where we're able to develop a plan that would help both parties, right? And the main idea that's presented is that we could help them fight and take control if we're able to weaken their forces. And the main idea that comes to play is the red Kojin. If you remember, there's red and there's the other ones like Soraban. The red ones work with the Imperials, and if we're able to lure them away, their forces would be quite weak in the area, and with that, the Confederacy could probably launch an attack. Wow, look at all these people over here. Sorry, I got distracted, but there's just so many people playing this game these days. It's like truly amazing. And I don't know if it should be, because I've played New World, the New World beta recently, and there's so many people just all about, and I think it's because I've been in a lot of games recently that haven't had as many people, and whenever you come more to these games, I'm like, oh yeah, MMOs are supposed to have people everywhere. And New World had a lot of people too. I'm talking more like World of Warcraft and stuff like that, where you just don't see as many people walking around. So it's so nice. That's a complete aside, but I just wanted to talk about that. So we developed that plan, and the main thing here is we need to find a way to lure away the Kojin, the red Kojin. We know that there's more information about the Kojin. I think it's the island right across from here. Yes. So this island over here, we know that there is a settlement there with more information, and that's where we end up traveling. And I'll actually just travel us there because they do have a fancy little teleporter. So that'll be the next stop on our adventure. Perfect. So yeah, this is one of the first really cool cities. The obvious reason being that it's underwater. It's super, super cool. I really, really enjoy it. There's another one that's underwater that we'll go to in a second. And it's that sort of underwater city that we see in the trailer where I'm like, is there an underwater city? And yeah, there is. It's really well done. I love the lighting effects, like the little ripples of the lights. But yeah, so we have all these Kojin that are hanging out here. Guess which Kojin we'd happen to run into. Soraban is here as well. He's hanging out. So we do talk to him, and he sort of leads us to the leader of the city, who tells us that there is a way that the red Kojin could be lured away, but we have to help him out first. Very MMO. We do a little bit of work in some of the other underwater places. We go find some stuff. They're looking for a specific item, so we do a bit of searching underwater and stuff like that. We actually end up meeting Yuguri's parents in the other underwater city. And actually, why don't I use this time to go out here? I'm talking about everything, so let's talk about the exciting thing here. There's swimming. There's underwater. There is mounts that you can ask Soraban, but I was just gonna travel like this. This is beautiful. This is absolutely amazing. You can use your regular mounts in here, like this bird looks so cool. It's super beautiful. Like, look at just the scenery. There's so much. I think what they've done such a good job is that you were just sort of treating it like A Realm Reborn and Heavensward at the start, where you were just on the surface, sort of like seeing just the big expanse of water and not thinking about what was underneath it. And then all of a sudden you unlock this, and now you can go underneath the water whenever you want. But yeah, look at this. Look how cool this city is. Like, it's in a bubble under the water. You have these different ripples. You have the fish going by. But yeah, so we end up going in, it might even be this one, I'm not sure. But we do end up meeting Yuguri's parents, which is kind of like a very side piece to the story, but it's that level of background information that you get whenever playing this that really builds up the characters. Like, you know, I'm now more invested in finding out what happened to Yuguri because I've met her parents. And when we met her parents, we didn't know what to say really, that, you know, we're looking for her, but she could be dead or something. So it's kind of these little elements like that that really do build things. Like, look at this shit, like, what's this, like a shark or something? There's like a shadow. Can we even see where it is? That's so cool. I love it. I mean, it's such a seamless transition. You just jump through here and all of a sudden you're in the water. But yeah, we meet her parents, we talk, but long story short, we end up getting what we need for the leader of the Kojin city. He tells us that the main way that we'd be able to lure the red Kojin away would be by attacking their vault. They're very protective of their treasure. There's a lot of different treasures in there, and we kind of get some more information about that later on. But the main way that we could lure them away is by attacking that vault, and it's just sort of this area here, the Isle of Zeki. And you do a lot of different sort of exploration around there, but ultimately it ends in a trial where we go against kind of like the Vault Guardian of sorts. And I've already done a video, I'll link it in the top here, but I did a video where I did the trial because I was pretty interested in seeing the trial right away. And we do it, and it's quite the success. We end up defeating the boss, obviously, and like you can see when you come out here, you're look at the volcano in the distance. You're just out in the water, just hanging out. But we fight the trial, and it does bring the Kojin away. They end up coming to sort of help bolster the defense of the area. And it's at this time that our party, the Confederacy, does launch their counterattack, and it goes really well. They actually end up saving Gegetsu as well, which kind of brings the whole story round, right? We kind of started with Gegetsu going and being taken captive, and we end with him getting saved by us, without it really being the main reason we were doing it necessarily. Like, I mean, it is obviously part of the reason, but we're trying to help the Confederacy as well. We were much more invested in it than just getting Gegetsu back, but it is great to get Gegetsu. Don't I didn't want to throw shade over there. We're happy to get him back. But yeah, it was kind of a full circle that way, which was really cool. And then we come out of the trial, and Elise like attacks the rest of the Sorbonne, the Sorbonnes, attacks the rest of the Kojin. She's like awesome. I mean, say what you will about the two twins, but if there was one I wanted to have on my side in battle, it's probably Elise. She was like just taking names, which was super cool to see. But yeah, that's kind of where the story ends up. We help the Confederacy out, we get Gegetsu back, and then we end up traveling. I've never noticed this boat before. See, this is why we're doing this. We end up traveling to the new zone. Oh, this is a little fishing boat, isn't it? Is this like a ramp on top of it? No, can you get on top? Let me in. But yeah, oh yeah, you can get in. Oh, this is nice. I didn't see this before. But yeah, so we end up doing all that, and that's kind of the story of the Ruby Sea. I've probably skipped several steps, but those are the memorable moments, and that's really what I wanted to share. I think the ultimate thing I took away from this, though, is that the swimming is such a cool, like, you know, you're just in the middle of the map here, and this is kind of how you're presented with the map at the start, and you're like, oh, this is, you know, kind of what you'd expect, just lots of swimming between areas. Kind of sucks a lot of dead space, but then all of a sudden you just boop, dive under. I love the transition, and now the map is so much bigger. Like, look at all these little like areas, these little settlements that you can see. There's so much underneath that I have not explored that there still is to explore. So I'm very interested to dive deeper and see some of the different regions. And there's so much. I've barely scratched the surface. Is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I think this is a great place to leave it. I know that video was kind of all over the place, which I think is good. I think it's good. I think I remembered what I wanted to say. There's definitely some names that I forgot, and I just kind of described who I was talking about. But I think it was more enjoyable this way, to kind of go through my mind and think of what I remembered, what I didn't remember. And not to overly fixate on doing things in the right order or making sure I talk about something long enough. And then hopefully in the editing process, by adding a little bit of the cutscenes for each of the different moments, I'm able to convey what I'm talking about. But let me know in the description, in the comments below, what your thoughts are on this, if you like this style, or if maybe you did really enjoy the more produced versions of these summaries and you were getting a lot out of them and you're kind of sad that they're gone. And if that's the case, let me know. But I don't think I'm adding anything more by taking that amount of time to do a true story summary. I don't think people come to this channel for the story to be summarized for them. I think they come to it to see me fail, to see me, my takes on the story and stuff like that. And I'd say ultimately I've really enjoyed this chapter of the story. I think it was great. I think it really played well into the environment, which was obviously teaching us all about swimming and stuff like that. Like that was a key mission, obviously, with the development of this area, and it paid off so much. Like they really introduce it in such a way that it feels like you're unlocking a whole new world when you get this swimming, and it's constantly going to make me think. Whenever I go to a new map, I'm gonna be like, can I go under the water? What's underneath the water? So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you have a great rest of your weekend if it's still Saturday when you're watching this. If it's not, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.